Tennis is one of the few games that has experienced a lot of changes throughout history. Not only the rules, prize money, courts, and rackets have changed, but also the players and their style have evolved a lot. Modern players are very different from those of the 80s and 90s, and tennis fans love to compare these players. In this video, we'll be comparing the tennis players of today with those of the 90s and 80s. By the end of this video, you'll have an opinion too, and do not forget to share it in the comment section below. Before coming down to comparing the players, let's first look at how tennis has evolved in the last few decades. Evolution in tennis. Tennis has experienced drastic changes throughout time, so let's have a look at how the game originally started. Tennis started in the 11th century in ancient Egypt. Back then, there was no rackets used in the game. Instead, the game was played in a crude form of handball against walls, and it was called jeu de paume, or the game of hand. Tennis's evolution towards rackets can be traced back to when players began using gloves because bare hands were too painful, before these were eventually upgraded to a glove with webbing sewn between the fingers. And then, with the passage of time, rackets entered the game. And as time passed, rackets have also changed a lot. At first, they were wooden and smaller in size, whereas now they're bigger and much harder. Even at the start, this game was not played in front of the public. Instead, only elites were allowed to come and see the game, and amateurs and professionals competed separately. But later in 1968, the open era of the game began and championships were introduced. Wimbledon, which began in 1877, was the first, and the Australian Open, which began in 1905 as the Australasian Championships, was the most recent. However, there was a significant difference between then and now. Originally, these tournaments were only for amateurs. Changes in pay. Over the last 52 years, pay has changed dramatically. Prior to the Open era, Grand Slam players made no money from the sport, and tournaments had no prize money. This can also be a factor in why players and their performances have changed dramatically. Because, people put in extra effort when they know they'll be paid heavily. Bjorn Borg, one of the game's greatest and most famous players, retired with over $3.5 million in prize money nearly 25 years into the Open era. Since then, the top-tier prize money has skyrocketed. Changes in players. Let's move to our main topic. So how the players have changed since the start of tennis. Professional tennis has been influenced by the advancement of sports science, with today's athletes being fitter, healthier, and more robust than ever before. The average age of tennis players today reflects this, with Roger Federer even playing into his late 30s. Today, speed, strength, endurance, and lesser recovery time are the main aspects of tennis players. Previously, players concentrated on technical aspects and spent hours perfecting their strokes. Players at the highest levels now recognize the importance of flexibility and quick movement, both side to side and laterally. Today, tennis players have separate coaches and even a whole team of coaches, trainers, nutritionists, and even their personal sports psychologists. Off-court expertise allowed players to stay at the top of their game for longer periods, ultimately contributing to the highest level of professional tennis ever. Tennis is now primarily played on two surfaces throughout the year, a mix of indoor and outdoor hard courts, as well as clay courts in South America and Europe. Because of the proliferation of harder surfaces, playing an attacking style of tennis became increasingly difficult. Previously, clay players had to compete in Europe and South America to earn tour points, but tournaments were now working to accommodate these players on other surfaces. The men's game is no longer as diverse as it once was, and attacking net play is now more of a surprise play to catch the opponent off guard. Players with exceptional net skills, such as Murray and Tsonga, have not evolved into attacking players as they might have in the 1990s. Keeping in view all these points, we can conclude the video by saying that it's not actually the players who are better than the players of the 80s and 90s. It's the facilities, opportunities, better lifestyle, science, and technology that had evolved the players and made them much, much, much better from those of the 80s and 90s. So, in my opinion, present-day players are better. What is your opinion? Tell us in the comment section below.